According to Iranian claims, a dramatic and high-intensity aerial engagement unfolded over the Strait of Hormuz, where 5 US AH-64 Apache helicopters were reportedly struck during an operation that Iranian sources say was targeting military installations along the Iranian coastline. And the incident quickly drew widespread attention because of the strategic sensitivity of the region and the advanced military assets involved. According to Iranian claims circulating through regional media channels, the Apache helicopters were operating very close to Iranian territory and were allegedly engaging targets linked to coastal missile systems and naval infrastructure, while Iranian statements described the situation as a rapidly escalating encounter that turned into a direct confrontation over one of the world's most critical maritime routes. As per sources monitoring regional activity, AH-64 Apache helicopters are advanced attack platforms designed for precision strikes, equipped with guided weapons and capable of engaging both ground and maritime targets. And their reported presence near Iranian coastal zones was described by Iranian sources as a serious and immediate security threat. Iranian claims further suggest that the helicopters were not on routine patrols, but were actively involved in offensive operations, including strikes on Iranian military installations positioned along the strait. And before we break down what is being reported about the strikes, the damage described by Iranian sources and how the situation escalated into a direct engagement. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the latest updates on major geopolitical and military developments shaping the world. According to Iranian claims, the Apache helicopters launched a series of attacks targeting Iranian coastal missile batteries and naval positions. And Iranian media reports described multiple explosions along the shoreline, with impacts reported at sites believed to be linked to missile deployment and maritime surveillance systems. As per sources tracking developments, several Iranian installations along the strait were reportedly hit during the initial phase of the operation, including positions connected to coastal defense systems, storage facilities, and logistical infrastructure supporting naval operations. And Iranian claims emphasized that the strikes caused significant damage to equipment and infrastructure, with some locations reportedly experiencing fires and structural destruction, while flames and smoke were described as visible across parts of the coastline following the attacks. According to sources observing the situation, the intensity of the strikes suggested a coordinated operation involving multiple helicopters engaging different targets within a short time frame. And Iranian media narratives highlighted what they described as heavy damage inflicted on Iranian positions, including disruption of certain operational sites and damage to equipment deployed near the shoreline. As per sources analysing such engagements, attack helicopters like the Apache are capable of delivering precise strikes against fixed and moving targets, especially in coastal environments where visibility and targeting conditions can be favourable. According to Iranian claims, the situation escalated quickly after the initial strikes as Iranian defence units responded to the incoming attacks, with air defence systems and coastal defence units reportedly activated in response to the presence of the helicopters. As per sources monitoring defensive activity, Iranian forces are believed to have deployed a combination of systems designed to counter low-altitude aerial threats, including radar-guided and optical tracking systems. Iranian claims state that defensive measures were quickly put into action, with multiple attempts made to track and engage the helicopters as they continued operating near the coastline. And according to sources following the reported engagement, the airspace over the strait became highly active, with defensive systems attempting to respond to the movement and position of the helicopters. Iranian media reports describe a turning point in the encounter when defensive systems began to successfully engage the helicopters, leading to impacts on multiple aircraft. And according to Iranian claims, all 5 AH-64 Apache helicopters involved in the operation were hit during the defensive response. Iranian sources describe visible impacts and loss of operational capability among the helicopters. However, as per sources monitoring the situation, there has been no independent confirmation about whether all 5 helicopters were completely destroyed or if some were only damaged, and the uncertainty about the final condition of the aircraft remains a key focus of ongoing analysis. As per sources observing developments, emergency and security units were reportedly deployed along coastal areas to monitor the situation and assess any possible risks resulting from the engagement. While Iranian claims emphasize that the defensive response was effective in stopping the incoming threat and describe the outcome as a successful interception of attacking aircraft. According to sources analysing the broader implications, the reported incident highlights the complexity of operating in contested airspace, especially in regions with strong defensive coverage, and as per sources monitoring regional reactions. The event has drawn significant attention because of the involvement of advanced military systems and the reported scale of the engagement. Iranian media narratives continue to highlight both phases of the incident, amid the initial damage caused to Iranian installations and the later response that resulted in the reported strikes on the helicopters. And according to sources tracking ongoing assessments, analysts are examining the sequence of events to better understand how the engagement unfolded, including the timing of the initial strikes and the defensive response. As per sources analysing operational dynamics, the use of multiple helicopters in a concentrated area can increase strike effectiveness, but also raises the risk of exposure to defensive systems. And according to Iranian claims, the helicopters were operating at altitudes and positions that made them vulnerable once defensive systems were fully activated. Iranian statements further suggest that coordination between different defensive units played a role in the reported outcome. And as per sources observing technical analysis, the engagement may provide useful insights into how defensive systems perform against fast-moving, low-altitude aerial threats in a coastal environment. According to sources following developments, attention is also being directed toward the reported damage to Iranian installations during the first phase of the encounter, and Iranian claims acknowledge that several sites were affected with different levels of damage reported across locations. As per sources analysing infrastructure impact, damage to coastal installations can affect surveillance systems, logistical operations and defence readiness in the area, and according to Iranian media reports, some affected sites experienced temporary disruption with repair and recovery efforts reportedly started soon after the incident. As per sources monitoring response efforts, teams were deployed to assess damage, secure affected areas and begin restoring operational capacity. And Iranian claims highlight resilience by emphasizing efforts to restore functionality at impacted locations. According to sources observing broader strategic implications, incidents that involve both offensive and defensive phases can influence how future operations are planned and carried out. And as per sources monitoring developments, the Strait of Hormuz remains a key focus of global attention because of its importance for maritime traffic and energy transport, meaning any military activity in this region is closely watched by international observers. According to sources tracking the situation, the reported engagement has increased alert levels across multiple areas with stronger monitoring of air and sea activity. And as per sources analysing military responses, such incidents often lead to changes in positioning, readiness and coordination among different units. Iranian claims continue to present the incident as both a defensive success and a demonstration of capability in responding to threats. And according to sources following ongoing analysis, questions remain about the full extent of damage on both sides, including the condition of the helicopters and the scale of impact on Iranian installations. As per sources monitoring official information, investigations and assessments are expected to continue with more details likely to appear over time, and the situation remains fluid with many aspects still under review. What remains clear from Iranian claims is that the encounter involved major activity, including reported strikes on Iranian coastal sites, followed by a defensive response targeting the helicopters. And as more information becomes available, analysts, governments and observers will continue to closely watch how this incident influences future developments in this strategically important region. As per sources monitoring continued developments, attention has now shifted toward the condition of affected coastal zones and the broader operational impact of the reported strikes, with areas that were initially hit now believed to be under rapid assessment and stabilisation as teams work to restore functionality. According to sources observing recovery operations, own engineers and technical teams have reportedly been deployed to evaluate damage to missile sites, radar systems and naval support infrastructure along the coastline, as these facilities play a key role in surveillance and defence coverage across the strait, making their restoration a top priority. Iranian claims indicate that although damage was caused during the initial phase, several systems are being brought back online through emergency repair measures, and temporary solutions are often used in such situations to reduce operational gaps while long-term repairs are planned. As per sources analysing infrastructure resilience, coastal defence systems are usually designed with backup layers, allowing certain functions to continue even if some parts are damaged, helping maintain a level of operation despite disruptions. And according to regional monitoring sources, increased activity has been observed around key installations, suggesting ongoing efforts to strengthen security and prevent further incidents. While surveillance operations have reportedly increased with additional monitoring of both airspace and maritime routes, Iranian media narratives continue to emphasise the scale of the response, presenting it as a decisive action that stopped further aerial activity in the area and restored control over the immediate airspace. And as per sources following military analysis, the encounter is being studied for its tactical and operational lessons, with the sequence of events from the initial strikes to the defensive response providing a detailed case for understanding both offensive capabilities and defensive reactions in a high-risk environment.